when in my next life I would like to live in Austria.
You can do it in this life.
Taking the money in Austria and living in Spain, I think is much better. We are right on time, and I'm going to make the presentation of the Spanish consulting industry. First of all, I have to explain our association because it's a bit different from your association. In the AEC, that is the name of our association, we have only 25 members. So we have the largest companies in Spain, 25, but we represent 75% of the market. And these 25% companies, we deal with the management consulting part of the companies, with the integration part of the companies, with the outsourcing part of the companies, and with the BPO. So this is why when we send the figures to the FEACO in Hungary, he missed up because the 10,000 billion was the total consulting market, not the management consulting market. We deal with the trade unions we are from the government point of view, we have the power to establish the work relationship with the trade unions. So every 3 or 4 years, we fight with them because we are completely different minds. I mean, we are very meritocratic companies, as you might understand, and the unions are the less meritocratic bodies in the world. I mean, they want to earn money just because they are 1 year more in the company. So we have big fights with them. So, but it is very interesting because we have been Spain in the last 2 years. We have a very large labor reform, and we are going through as we cannot devaluate the euro, we have to devaluate ourselves. So we are going through a very large internal devaluation. The salaries are frozen or going down in most of the industries. That I think is good news because we are recovering our competitors. So the numbers I'm going to see, is the total numbers. And we have 2 very good news. The first news is, nope. So the first good news is that going through a real crisis, and it's not only economic crisis, it is institutional crisis. Last year, our companies, the market grew 5.7%. And this is fantastic. How we can grow. This is the total market, the management consulting market. So the total market is 10 billion euros, that is about 1% of the GDP in Spain. And I think, because when they say, well, you are 1% of the GDP, yes, we are 1% of the GDP, but 60% of our revenues goes to the payroll. So the impact in real GDP is not 1, probably 4, 5, or 6%. And this is one thing that we, the associations in Europe, we don't put that on value on our politicians. Our politicians, they always see the manufacturing of cars or something tangible. But when we say, listen, the impact that we have in the GDP is much more than 1%. It's probably 5 or 6. So we went from growing in the last 3 years. If you go by public administration and financial services and financial, both are the largest part, but financial services is by far the largest in Spain, and we will talk about why is that. And this is the second good news, that we grew because we take a plane and we went out. So if you see the evolution of the domestic market, it's going down from the 2010, going down to 2011, and going down to, so the market has decreased 3.2%. So if we were sitting in our office without doing anything, we have to dismiss about 20% of our employees in Spain. Because, so the international part increased by 38% in the last year. And this is the good news, because when you are out, you are international. Because I mean, some years the crisis will be over. I mean, I hope that I see the crisis over before I die. I mean, and the crisis will be over in 2 or 3 years, and so we will grow much more than before, because we will grow not only in the domestic part, but only in the international part. So I think this crisis for that has been very good for us, because they have forced us to buy a ticket and go selling outside. The service, the sectors that represent the higher market share are by far the financial services. Financial services I mean, I went through your presentation here, and I think we need a financial crisis to sell to the banks. And in the countries that we had a financial crisis, like UK, Spain, we were selling a lot. So I recommend to the other countries that you have a financial crisis, because you will sell a lot to the banks. To give you an idea, 3 years ago, I mean, in Spain has not been a banking crisis, has been a saving bank crisis. That is completely different, saving banks from the banks. To give you an idea, 3 years ago, we were 50 saving banks in Spain. Today are 8. In 3 years, from 50 to 8. So this is, they have to redo all the branch system, to the IT system, everything. So this is why the financial services, we really are experts. So in France, when you have the financial services in 2 years from now, call us, because we will be the expert. We will have all the expertise to solve them. Public administration used to be the 25%, and because of the cuts, now is 70%. So the decrease is about around 30% decrease in the public administration. If we go to the management consulting, because in our survey, we ask so many questions that when we ask for management consulting, we just ask for the revenue. We don't split. But the management consulting went from 17% last year to 15% this year. So have been going down, even with the internationalization.
I do it.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, thanks. So from 10 billion euros, 42% is development and integration, 41% is outsourcing, and 15% is management consulting. The real growing is outsourcing, and the development and integration is flat. So what happened in 12? First of all, the internationalization. When I heard this morning in the Italian presentation, I mean, we start going after the Spanish a multinational outside Spain about 10 years ago. But we were unable to get local customers. I mean, it's very easy to go and work for Fiat, but work for a company in Chile that is not a Spanish company or Banco Santander is very difficult. So, but this has changed in the last 5 years. The Spanish companies, especially in Latin America, now about 30 to 40% of our revenue are local customers. And this is a very good news because, I mean, more and more we are not depending on the Spanish multinational because if they can, I mean, and we have diversified the portfolio of services and going after the local guys. So for us, internationalization specifically in Latin, but not only in Latin, because not in management consulting, but in outsourcing, we are working in UK because, as you can imagine, with the rates of UK and the rates of Spain, we are very competitive. And we have one thing, we don't have India, but we have LATAM. And so when we mix the rates, we do always for a big project, we have people in Spain and people in LATAM. So we can balance the rate and we can balance the cost. And with this kind of balancing, we are very competitive in a global basis, and we can compete for outsourcing, specifically for nearshore big contracts. We are competing with the Indians, not because we are lower price, because, I mean, the quality that we provide and the nearshore that we have, and with the assistance of the rates in Latin America, we are very competitive. The last year has been a transformation process in private company and public administration. And I mean, it has not been like Greece, but very, very much similar. I mean, it's 1,000 of companies that disappeared, merger and acquisition, and for the large companies, we have been with them in this process. Yeah. Of course, you have to adapt the portfolio of services because if not, you are dead. In the financial sector, what we have done, specifically with the global crisis and liquidity, recovery management. So we have sold a lot of recovery management to the banks. We have a thesis for every country with Basel III regulatory. We are helping to accommodate to the Basel III the analysis of impact on adaptation. Loss of customer confidence, so customer experience and branding, and web payment services. So this is to finalize my presentation. This is the main strength, internalization and restructuring and transformation, and improving competitiveness in saving cost and optimizing processes. That's it. I finished my Spanish presentation, and I want to wrap up a little bit, and after we open a question and answer session. I really would like just notes that I was taking when you made the presentation probably are not correct, but I mean, Scandinavia is, when I see the figures, are very optimistic. Here, Scandinavia is going to grow at 5%. Public sector is growth at 4%, and the financial services decreasing, so they don't have a crisis in the financial services. So it is good. It is good. And they are very optimistic on the future. 60% of the affiliates, they say that next year will be better than this one. I was really shocked by the Greek presentation because I think it has been very emotive, and I think that what you are doing with the government, help the government to overcome the difficulties, I think is the best thing a association can do. and I really congratulate if you have success working with the government for establishing policies. UK is fantastic, growth 7%, financial services very large, so you have had a crisis, so it is good. Public sector is like, you have the same problem that in Spain, they're cutting the budget, and you have a 20% decrease, and you are going out with the internationalization. France, the nose it took, the last from 2007 to 2012 has been flat. That is banking and services from 29 to 24. So again, you don't have a financial crisis. And you have a very interesting project that I really like, and I take note. This innovate and research, I think this is very unique, is very innovative, and linking the research and the innovation and going and putting them in an envelope and going to the market, I think is a very good idea. And if you don't mind, we will copy you. Huh? Austria is everything. Is the richest association in the richest country. So it's fantastic. I mean, they have the only problem. Imagine with the richest association with the richest country only using 10% of the ladies. I mean, imagine that they use 50% instead of 10%. Will be double rich. Huh? That's why. And now with this wrap up, I don't wrap up in Spain because I finished, and I open the session to the floor. If you have any question, we are more than happy to answer. Thank you.